Winnipeg Sports Talk, live at the NHL Draft, presented by Coolbet.
Here with our pal TSN's Director of Scouting. It's draft day. It's like the Super Bowl for draft guys. How have you enjoyed last night and so far today?
Well, it's always fun to be at the draft. I mean, you look at the kids, they're wide-eyed, and they know that they're coming closer to the dreams they've had since they were young, starting to play hockey. And their names called, they put on the jersey. It's unbelievable to watch all that. And we watch them on the ice, but this is unbridled enthusiasm from the players, and it doesn't get better than that.
Now, I caught you about a minute after the Jets picked Colby Barlow last night. Just tell us about Colby Barlow. He seemed to be a guy that you were pretty keen on.
Yeah, I like him.
You more than liked him. He's a real package. And listen, I have to say, I interviewed him right afterwards. And again, I don't know much about him as the player, but Rutger McGroarty vibes like crazy.
Well, he does have those vibes. Those vibes that you're feeling from Colby are exactly like Rutger. And, you know, all kidding aside about Colby, I mean, I go into every draft, and when I was doing the draft for TSN and NBC, we came up with this little draft crush. Who's your draft crush this year? And for me this year, it was Colby Barlow all the way. And, you know, you can look at the outward skills, his ability to score, his ability to get in and around the net. But I really think Colby's a complete player. And, you know, you see the goal scoring and you see that part of his game. We use the term 200-foot player and just kind of throw it out there. But I say to myself, what is a 200-foot player? A 200-foot player is somebody that knows how to play in not only the different areas of the rink, but the different situations, and then execute them. Colby does that everywhere. He's a great penalty killer. He can play on the wall. He can play below the goal line, at the net, on the rush. He can play in so many different spots. And one of the things that I've always seen with Colby, and I have zero doubt about it, and we talked about this after the first round, no matter what the game is, no matter who you're playing against, what the situation is, you are always going to get 100% of Colby Barlow. He's dialed in the win. And I think those are some of the vibes you saw from him that compare him to Rutger. Him and Rutger, I'm telling you, they're cut from the same cloth. Different types of players, cut from the same cloth when it comes to competing.
Well, and I mean, and Craig, it's not going to be all on these young men's shoulders, but it does seem like the Winnipeg Jets are at a period where they are trying to sort of instill a bit of a culture change. And, you know, we thought that McGroarty could be a bit of a culture carrier for the Winnipeg Jets in the future, and it certainly seems like Colby Barlow fits that bill as well.
Yeah, but it's not going to be just left to those two young guys. Like, they're going to, like, Adam Lowry's there. You know what Adam means to the team, right? So it's not like they're going to come in and have to establish it themselves. They're going to be able to come in and just make it stronger and make it better. And I mentioned Adam. There's a lot of good players that are driven to be good there and want to make. So when you're trying to make some changes and players are going to move out, and we've already seen Pierre-Luc Dubois leave, and there's going to be others. Now you start to look at this next wave of players coming in that, you know, it's one thing to have talent to play in the NHL, but, you know, the will, the determination, you know, the desire to do whatever it takes for themselves to be better and then to help the team be better. Those are qualities that teams are always looking for. I think with McGroarty and Colby Barlow, they both possess that in a big way.
Very rare that a 17-year-old in junior hockey is the captain of a team. And just looking at some of the video, the one thing that stood out to me was his release and his shot. I mean, you talk about a guy that's very competitive, that comes to play each and every night, that has leadership, but that release is not something that, you know, you just learn right away. Is that something that he has progressively got better at, or does he just have a gift when it comes to rifling that puck and doing it in space and traffic?
I would say both. It's something that he's got a gift for, but it's also something that he works at extremely hard. So he's always pushing to be better. He's always pushing to make himself better. And that's just one element. You see the release, you see his ability to score from 35 feet and the accuracy that he has, the velocity in his shot. But he can score in so many different ways. I mean, he can score on tips and deflections in and around the net. He can score off the rush, and he can score. He doesn't get pushed out of, like, there's not like, oh, he's got to be on his forehand side. If he gets pushed, he knows how to maneuver himself into advantageous scoring positions. That's what makes him so hard to defend. And you're right, a 17-year-old player going into junior hockey and being an unquestionable leader, and make no mistake about it, he was the unquestionable leader in Owen Sound, and that's why Dale DeGray made him the captain. That's why why they made him the captain, because there is no question. I mean, nobody had to say, who do you think our captain will be? Colby had already established who the captain was, and even if he didn't wear the C, he was the unquestionable leader. Just really, when I say complete player, I'm talking complete player, and I can't usually say that about 18-year-olds. Is there room for him to grow and get better? Absolutely, and he will. But I see a real complete player in Colby Barlow.
Craig Button, TSN's Director of Scouting, with us discussing Colby Barlow. I have to ask you about the first round. There was some audible gasp in the room when the Ducks passed on Adam Fantilli. Were you as surprised as maybe some other people in the building?
No, not at all. I mean, I don't know why there would be gasp. I mean, I think Adam and Leo are both really good players. I think they are going to be number one centers in the National Hockey League. They're different. Like, the number one centers are all different in the National Hockey League. It's not like there's one cookie cutter template and that's what you have to be. Leo is a playmaking center. He's got size. I think he's become more comfortable shooting the puck. Adam's a great skater who, really uses that speed and that skill to drive offense and to drive the puck into the offensive zone and into the scoring area. So they're different. They're different types of players. Now, obviously, you look at it. Anaheim had a choice, and their choice was Leo Carlsson, and so now for him to be able to move into what they feel is a fit for their group and for what they have not only on the ice now, but also what they have in their prospect system. That's what the decisions come down to. It's so close. It really is. It's so close. Listen, it wouldn't have surprised me if they drafted Will Smith, because he's another top center. But it is close, and then you try to determine what fits for your team.
I say this for Fantilli. Pretty nice landing spot in C-Bus with Patrick Laine and Johnny Gaudreau there. I imagine Jarmo and the gang in Columbus pretty happy about the way things have turned out.
Oh, absolutely. And I think they would have been happy if Leo Carlsson was there. And maybe they don't take Leo Carlsson at 3. Maybe they take Will Smith.
Sure.
I don't know. But, at the end of the day, you're going to be happy with a player that can do as many things as Adam Fantilli can do. And the game is so fast. And when you have a player that not only plays fast and uses speed, but he's got the skill to match it. Those are desirable qualities, and that's why it's easy for me to say clear-cut number one center in the National Hockey League.
Craig, I've got to ask you about the Blackhawks. I mean, we haven't talked a lot about Bedard just because everyone knew he was going number one, and we've been talking about him for the last 3 years. But they get Moore at 19, and now we've seen they add Taylor Hall. Looking like they're trying to acquire Corey Perry. How much has Chicago maybe sped up their rebuild because of winning the lottery of Connor Bedard and the subsequent moves that they've made?
Well, I think there's parts there. I think any time you're going to draft what I call a generational player, and that's Connor Bedard, you're going to be able to, start to set your sights on knowing your team's going to be better. Everybody's thinking they're drafting players and our team's going to get better, but darn well when you draft a generation player, your team now is going to get better because he's going to drive play. But you also have to support those players. You have to make sure that they're surrounded and supported really nicely, and that's what Taylor Hall, that's what Nick Foligno coming in, and now you draft Oliver Moore. He's a couple years away. They drafted Korchinski last year. They got a lot of players in their prospect pool, right? But yes, now you're trying to, as you continue to move forward in your rebuild, right? You're trying to add good players, right? But certainly, I don't know if it's faster, but I know that you now know that you can see a direct path to success, and I think that's what happens with Bedard. And certainly they've traded players to get picks, and they're going to have to be patient. And I think Kyle Davidson has already emphasized that.
Craig, before we go, I know it's all about the draft and the young men being picked today, but heading into the first round, there was a big trade involving the Winnipeg Jets and the Los Angeles Kings. What did you think about the return for Winnipeg for Pierre-Luc Dubois and the job Kevin Cheveldayoff did, trying to make the best out of what was somewhat of a tough situation?
Well, the job that he did was, you talk about the tough situation. So, I mean, he had a number of places that he could have gone. He could have gone rebuild, prospects, picks, and that's further down the line. But you're trading Pierre-Luc Dubois, and he was able to get players that come back and that are going to keep his team competitive. And it's made his team deeper. He's got more depth in his lineup. So, forced into a situation, I think Kevin really executed in a manner that allows the Jets. They got a lot of good players. You know that. I know that. The fans know that. We've talked about some changes that have to be made. We're seeing those being undertaken, and those are important for the Jets. But, you're not looking now, okay, what do you think this player's timeline is? Velarde can drive play. He's heavy, he's skilled, he's competitive. Iafallo's fast. And then you have Kupari, who's big and fast. Two young, he's a younger player with promise. You had three players with size and speed and some drive in their game. Well, I'll tell you what, you're gonna remain competitive. I think Kevin, set his sights on what he wanted to do. He might have been able to get prospects from another team or whatnot, but he said, no, I want to keep this team in a competitive space, and I thought he did an excellent job. And he's not done. He's not done. He's got other players that are going to move out of here too before free agency. So you're going to have lots to talk about in the days to come.
Stay tuned, everybody. Craig, thanks so much for your time as always. Always a pleasure to get together.
Yeah, it is. It's always a pleasure to see you and spend time with you. Thank you.